Welcome to Thursday Thoughts, your weekly dose of real, honest conversation on all things personal growth. These are the chats Lucy and I love having every week over on Instagram. They're unfiltered, unedited, and always rooted in practical tools and a dose of inspiration. Let's dive in.
I always love talking about this, and as you said, we're talking about mornings, and basically mornings in terms of getting up earlier than you need to. And I know we have had this conversation before, but I know that there are so many people out there. I'm talking to women in particular because my listeners are women. I just know that there are so many women out there who really want to start a morning routine and who really want to start getting up earlier, but they just get in their own way and they just never get around to doing it, or they do it for a bit and then they stop. And I know that it's this real sort of internal battle for people. And I'm so kind of passionate about just talking about this because, as you and I have both said a million times, our morning routines have made such a difference to our lives. And since I had a morning routine, my life has just been better. It's just as simple as that. So I think as so many things that we talk about on here, you cannot hear these things enough. And I was always that person, just to go back to sort of my little history of mornings, I was always that person who would roll out of bed, literally having snoozed my alarm 73 times, and I would roll out of bed at the last minute. My mornings would always, I never ever had any time to do anything in the mornings. My mornings were literally roll out of bed, jump in the shower, get dressed, grab something to eat and kind of, slide into my chair at my desk in the office in the nick of time. And they always felt hurried. They always felt rushed. They always felt stressful. I would always start by listening to the radio, so I'd hear the news, which I now don't. Certainly not first thing in the morning anyway. And what I didn't even realize then is it's just no way to start your fucking day. It's just not. But that's the way that so many of us do start our days. We don't give ourselves any space or any time to start our day in an intentional way. We just roll out of bed, have a shower, and we're just at our desk at work, having not had time to just spend even just 15 or 20 minutes just getting ourselves in a good mindset. And the reason I feel so fucking passionate about this is because when you change your mornings, you change your life. And when you are in control of your mornings, you are in control of your day. It really is as simple as that. And it's amazing how just having a morning routine can have such an impact on how you feel for the rest of the day. One thing I've also talked about the fact is that when I don't do my morning routine and when I do get up later than I want to, I feel like shit. I just feel like shit. I just don't. And I think we don't even like, I never even realized that part of the reason why I wasn't feeling great is because I wasn't getting up earlier than I needed to. I was getting up the last minute possible and starting my day on the back foot. And it just bleeds into everything. It bleeds into how you feel about yourself. It bleeds into how you feel about your life. It bleeds into how the day goes, and therefore the week and the month and the year in your life. So I'm not suggesting everybody does what I do and spends like 3 hours on a morning routine, which is pretty much these days what I do. Because I get up at 5, and the days that I have my morning routine club are slightly different. I do cock-a-doodle-oo from 6 till 6:30, so those days look a bit different to other days. But generally, what I try and do before I sit down at my desk and start working is I will always do a meditation with a bit of breath work at the beginning of that. Then I will do like a strength training session 3 or 4 times a week. And then I will always try and get out for an early walk first thing in the morning. And then I kind of, come back, have a shower, make my breakfast, blah, 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 blah. But the benefits of carving out that time in the morning, and you don't have to do a ridiculous number of things. It can just be a 10-minute breathwork session or a 15-minute walk around the block. But the benefits that come with carving out that time in the morning cannot be understated, which is why I will go on and on about this. And the thing is, actually, one thing that I've discovered is that I know some people really, 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 really struggle with the motivation to do this. And they talk about wanting to do it and they, think about wanting to do it and they never actually do it. So I know that it's something that people find really, really hard. So the first thing that I wanted to say is the best way. The best way of creating a morning routine is to find somebody else in your life who also wants to do it and phone each other in the morning. Which, some people might be thinking, oh, well, I don't know, and I can't find anyone. You can fucking find someone if you really want to. The end. It could be somebody online. If you're in my membership, it could be somebody else in there. If you have a friend who wants to do it, whoever it is, you can find somebody in your life who also wants to start a morning routine. And that accountability is so, so, so helpful. As you know, Polly, it's the reason why I still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I've had accountability for 4 or 5 years. Literally, I started off with a friend of mine called Michaela. I've talked about this before, so I won't go on about it. But basically, Michaela and I started calling each other at 5 o'clock. We took it in turns, and that is what bedded in my morning routine. So for anyone out there who wants to do it, the first thing that I would suggest is to find somebody to do it with, because that is a guaranteed way. Because when you know somebody is waiting for you to phone them, or you're waiting, or you're getting an actual phone call to wake you up, it makes all the difference. And I know it's September today, and I know, well, it won't be when this goes out on the podcast, but it will be the 4th of September or something. Anyway, I know that it's like autumn or coming into autumn and all of the rest of it. But the truth is that you can overcome those difficulties. Like it's not easy, but nothing that is good for you is. Nothing that makes your life better is easy. So we've got to get rid of that for a start and think, yes, I'm not going to be, I don't leap out of bed in the morning. I don't want to get up. I still feel like I need to sleep more and I want to sleep more. It is always a bit painful, but the truth is that when you do it, you never regret it. So it's just going through that slight bit of discomfort for 2 or 3 minutes while you kind of come to and you wake up. If you can get through that, then it's going to change your goddamn life. I'll shut up now.
Yes. So a few things coming up for me there. So the first thing I think is I think the first thing to really think about with this, because yes, I'm a great fan of getting up early. I love it, and I've been doing it for years, and it totally works and fits into my life. I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, why do you want to get up early? What is your reason behind it? Ultimately, okay, might want to start a morning routine, but why do you want to start a morning routine? What is it going to bring you? Why do you want to get up a little bit early? Unless you know why you're doing it, you're going to find it hard. So if you are someone who is very, very happy with the way your life is, then maybe it's not for you. If you are that person who is always chasing their tail, you get up, you're rushed, the mornings are tough for you, you're snappy, there's a million things going on, and you arrive to work feeling completely frazzled, then yes, perhaps this is something you really need to think about doing and implementing in your life. And so really understanding why you're doing it. Is it because you need to create some more time, more space, have that intentionality of how you're going to start your day? That really, what you said is really why I do it and have always done it, is to start my day from a place of calmness, of groundedness, with intention. Now, it's interesting because I speak to a lot of people about mornings, because people are always like, what? You get... So my alarm goes off at 5:27. It's so weird that I do that, but that's always the time it's been going off. And I'm lucky because I have someone at home, so Giles, who also gets up at that time. So I have that natural accountability anyway. Now, for some people, so everyone always says to me, so if you're getting up at that time, what time do you have to go to bed? Because ultimately, the morning routine that starts the day before, you cannot get up at that time. Well, I can't if I go to bed past 10. Ultimately, I need to be in bed by. Generally, I will go up to bed at about 9. Sometimes, I would love to go earlier, but this life doesn't allow for that. So I go up to bed about 9. and always try and hopefully be asleep by 10, because you need to give yourself that sort of breathing space of time to read and maybe fall asleep or whatever. Now, what I get back from a lot of my friends, so a lot of my friends tend to have families. They might have teenagers. People have been at work. So often I'll get, by the time I get back from work, by the time all the kids have finished their activities or their things and they all come in, we don't eat till at least 7:30, sometimes 8, which for me, and we in my family, we eat at 7:30, generally 7 to 7:30, because by the time everyone's got back, and it's really important to us that we try and have that time together, that family time to eat. So obviously that then pushes everything back, because then you don't want to be going to bed with a really full belly of food. So that has always been my issue, is like trying to eat as early as I possibly can. But I know for so many people that is just simply really hard to do, because it's such a nice thing to be able to do at the end of the day with others, if that's what's important to you. So what I try and do for that is I will try and have a bigger lunch. So I get my fuel in at the lunch. And for dinner, I will, and if you've got hungry teenagers, whatever, you need to put up, they need food. But I will generally try and eat less at that time. So I'm not going to bed with a belly full of food, because I know that really interrupts my sleep if I've got too much food in my belly. So yeah, it's maybe trying to have a slightly lighter dinner, and obviously trying to eat as early as is feasible for you. But and then kind of working out what is the earliest you can go to bed so that you can digest your food. Now, the thing I would always say to anyone here is going, oh, but I don't go to bed till, I can't possibly go to bed till about 11:30 by the time I've decompressed. And I think the question is, firstly, how much do you want to start your day like this? If you really, really want to start your day like this in a more intentional way, actually just shaving half an hour off your evening to gain that half an hour in the morning is going to be really beneficial. So is there half an hour in the evening when you're literally just sitting watching TV? And I know for a lot of us, and me included, I love that time to sit down and maybe watch something and really decompress. It feels good. But could you just shave some time off that? Because actually, although that's important, also going to bed is super important for us all. We know sleep is the number one thing we should all be prioritizing as much as possible. So again, I think we've got to be careful with this, saying get up early, because you also still need to get good quality sleep. Sleep is probably the biggest thing you need for recovery. So you've really got to be thinking about getting that time back the night before.
Yeah.
And then setting yourself up for the best night's sleep anyway. So the good quality sleep. And and again, that's difficult. And my sleep recently has been absolutely dreadful. So I'm really sort of now doubling down on things like, am I looking at screens before I go to bed? For me, I've really noticed that's not helpful at all. Am I going to bed with a really full belly? That, for me, again, is not helpful. If I have a glass of wine, that, again, is really not helpful. So it's just understanding what works for you and just trying to set yourself up for that good sleep. And then it is much easier to set that alarm or get that call in the morning to wake up, because I think I know in myself that I need to know that I've had enough sleep to get up and do all the things. Because if I'm going to bed at midnight and I'm going at 5:27, then it's just not going to work for me, because I'm going to feel exhausted, I'll be grumpy, and that triggers a whole load of other things. So, sorry, just to really reiterate that sleep is absolutely fundamentally important. But then when you do that, and I generally am in bed, I'm generally always in bed by 9:30. And hopefully try and be asleep by 10. It doesn't always happen. And also, sometimes, we go out and see friends, or go and do something. So it doesn't always happen. Yeah. But my body is now so set to wake up when it does, that I've got to a point now that doesn't really matter what time I go to bed. And sometimes this can be really annoying. I wake up at 5:27, normally at 5:26, a minute before my alarm goes off every single day. But I kind of so used to it now, so I use that. And for me, mine looks a bit different to yours. So for me, immediately I'll get up and I'll exercise first. And then I can generally come back home and then I run my inner space session. And then this morning I did my breathwork meditation after that. And then I normally always take the dog for a walk. So yeah, so for me, it does, I've got obviously kids in the middle of that. Well, one left to get off to school. So it's just kind of working around what we all our responsibilities. And I also fully understand for those people who are listening, you might have really small children or younger children. You've got the whole school thing going on and getting your kids up, and kids can get up really early, so there's all of that in the mix. But what I did with that is that that's when I did it was really early, and I was lucky to have someone at home who could mind the kids. But if you can't, you can maybe do a workout or something, or a meditation or something before they wake up, or try and include them. There are ways around it. So yeah, it's just about getting it to fit in with you and your life, because otherwise you're not going to do it. So yeah,
Totally.
that's my rant.
A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
No. I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. It's particularly about sleep, because obviously sleep is, like you said, the most important thing. But actually, we're not necessarily two things. First of all, we're not suggesting that everyone suddenly starts getting up at 5 or 5:27 like that. It doesn't have to be that.
No.
If you currently get up at 7:30, perhaps it could be 7 o'clock. And like you say, I love the thought of, can you just make up that time in the evening? So can you go to bed just half an hour earlier? It doesn't have to be this huge thing of like, oh my God, I've got to be in bed at 8 o'clock where I normally go to bed at midnight. It doesn't have to be that extreme. But going back to what you said about what is your why, what is your reason for doing this? I almost don't feel like there needs to be, I mean, there does need to be a why, but in some ways I think it can be as simple as, when you have a little bit of breathing space in the morning, you're going to feel better. So it can be as simple as that. And actually, if you're not necessarily the kind of person who meditates or does breath work or does a workout or whatever, I think one of the best, if you're thinking, well, what the fuck am I going to do when I get up half an hour earlier? Personally, I would say one of the best things to do is just get out the door and go for a walk, just for 15 minutes. And that's another thing that I'm like religious about is getting movement in early in the day, getting sunlight in your eyes early in the day. And even in the winter, yes, okay, it's not necessarily going to be light, depending on what time you get up. But actually, if you can just use that time to go for a short walk around the block, just a 15-20 minute walk, it is going to make a difference to how you feel. It's as simple as that. So, or you could sit down and do 15 minutes of, journaling. You could sit down for 5 minutes and write down a few things that you're grateful for. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know what I'm going to do if I do start getting up early, there are so many little things that you can do to make it worthwhile. The point is, it's about carving out extra time for yourself. And Polly, like you're saying, I mean, obviously my listeners, most of them are single and they don't have kids, but yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like when it comes to, people who do have kids, well, actually even more reason for doing it, to give yourself a bit of time to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't have kids, it's just to give yourself that time before the world then needs your attention and work and all the rest of it. And this is why morning routines are such a game changer, because they allow you to have that space and to start your day on, with calm and with positivity. Again, you could spend your morning routine could literally be, okay, I'm going to start getting up just 15 minutes earlier, and I'm going to sit with a journal and I'm just going to write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. That is what I'm going to start with. Or I'm going to get up 20 minutes earlier and I'm just going to put on my joggers, my top, and I'm going to go out the door for a 20-minute walk. It can be as simple as that. Whatever you do and however you use the extra time is going to benefit your life. So I don't think there has to be some grand reason for doing it. There can be, you can use it for bigger things, like maybe you want to write a book, so maybe you can write for 15 minutes every morning, for example, or, you know, maybe you're starting a side hustle, you can work on that for half an hour. There, you know, there's never a shortage of things to do. And as you know, you and I have talked about this a million times, but, you know, starting a practice like breath work or meditation is hugely, hugely, hugely beneficial to your mind, your body, your soul. So, you know, maybe you're getting up slightly earlier could be used to start a practice like that, which in turn is gonna, you know, you're killing two birds with one stone. It's got so many benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So firstly, getting outside in
Mm.
the morning is also incredibly important for your sleep, because
Yeah.
when you get the sunlight into your eyes, you are helping to really set your circadian rhythm. So it's that early morning light, and then also that evening light, that the dimming of the light really helps with that sleep-wake cycle in terms of I mean, it's your circadian rhythm. So that's really, really vital. So there's so much science behind all these reasons. You know, just doing something like the gratitude, that again is going to really support your nervous system. One thing I've done for many, many years because I had such a bad back for so many years, was simple 5 minute stretches in the morning. Again, nothing massive, it didn't go on for hours. It was just a few simple stretches, which I knew supported my back. I literally would roll out of bed and do them beside the bed in my pajamas. And that has saved my back. I mean, I was meant to have an operation. I never did, because I kind of sorted it out. So, and it's just these little micro practices over time, which make the big, big difference. And you really start to notice it. I mean, it really is the you know, and for me, if you don't do them then, if for those stretches, if I didn't do them as I rolled out of bed, they just would have got, the day would have got away with me, and I never would have done it.
Mm.
So that is for me the best time to start something which you really want to get in, is to do it then, and maybe try and attach it onto something you're already doing, and get it done. And then you feel like you're winning. It's that
Yeah.
momentum. You feel like you're already winning in the day. It's like, oh my gosh, I've done that and that and that. I feel great. I feel like I've got more space. I mean, this morning I started my September nervous system rewire with my inner space. It was great, actually. And what we were doing, and you know, lots of people there, I've had lots of conversations with people about, can they make the 7:30 session? It's, you know, and I couldn't believe how many people turned up. It was brilliant. So I think it's just like, when you're intentionally thinking, okay, I'm going to commit to this, how can I make it work for me? Maybe I need to ask someone to do something else for me, and you actually go and do it, you will notice those differences. But the trick is, as you said, is to keep that momentum going, keep that consistency going, and build it, because all of those small steps are going to build, and then you're going to reap the rewards. And it is over time. It's subtle. It's not like you reap them straight away. Although, you know, in your day, you are going to feel more spacious and calm. I mean, you know, I'm sitting here, it's 9:24. I still haven't had a shower yet this morning. So, you know, but that's okay. That happens some days. Some days I do, sometimes I don't, depending on what's in my calendar. So it's just about working with what you've got, but it's about prioritizing what's important to you. It's like anything. If you don't prioritize it, if you want to do it, but you don't prioritize that wake up or getting out of bed, then it's not going to happen. You have got to make that commitment to yourself. And as we always say, it's only by showing up for yourself again and again, is that when you start to build that confidence, you start to notice those changes. You have to take those actions to make it happen. Only you can do it. No one's going to do it for you.
Exactly. It's so true. One thing to add, actually, one of the other brilliant things about morning routines, this, you made me think of it when you were sort of talking about habit stacking, like doing, you know, adding one thing on top of another thing. So for example, so one of the reasons I love my morning routine is because it gets me into a good headspace. It gets me into it cultivates my positive mindset every morning. If I could start the day off feeling positive, feeling intentional, feeling clear and calm. And if you, for example, start getting up half an hour earlier to go for a walk, well, you can also, what I do always when I go for a walk, I put my headphones in. I know some people are like, well, don't, it's not always necessarily great to always wear your headphones for a walk, but I personally do. I don't have, and because it's talking, I can hear the birds singing as well. I can hear the like river when I walk past it, because I'm listening to talk words rather than music, right? So, but basically, you can, if you put your headphones in and listen to something, so rather than whacking the radio on as you're rushing to get ready for work and hearing about everything that shite that's going on in the world, if you get up half an hour earlier to go for a walk and listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook, what that is doing is it's really helping you to cultivate a positive mindset at the beginning of the day. And as you and I have talked about 5 gazillion times, life is how we choose to perceive it, and how we're perceiving our life is a result of our mindset and how we're thinking. So that I think this is a complete game changer. It has been for me, to feed my mind first thing in the morning with positive content. Always I do that. And in fact, when I'm getting ready as well, like I will always, so I'll listen to I'll start a podcast when I go out for my walk after I've done meditation or strength training or whatever it is. And then I will come back and I will continue listening to that podcast as I'm getting ready, as I'm making my breakfast. So, by kind of 8:30, 9 in the morning, I've already listened to something really inspirational. And what it does is it just means that instead of focusing on, oh God, this awful thing is happening over here, or oh God, this is happening in the world and it's so awful, it just allows your mind to start thinking about interesting things that are actually going to serve you. And you come up with ideas, and it just makes you think in a positive, constructive way, rather than when you get up and you turn the news on and that's all you turn the TV on, and you've got morning, I don't even know what's on the TV in the morning, but you know what I mean, like if you've got the news on and people talking about all the terrible things that are happening in the world, that's where your focus is going. And life is all about, where are you placing your attention? Where is your focus most of the time? So by starting your day listening to something positive, that is where your focus is going. And it might make you, it might give you an idea about something. Like the number of times I'm walking along listening to a podcast, or getting ready listening to a podcast, and it'll give me an idea for a pod for one of my minisodes, or it'll make me think about something that I want to do, whatever it is. It's just I cannot say enough times about start your day with listening to something positive content. It's just it's everything, because again, it's changing. You get to be in charge of where you are placing your focus. And if you're placing your focus on the fucking news first thing in the morning and as you go to work, you're going to be feeling that is what is going to be feeding into the thoughts that you have for the rest of the morning, and the way that you're going to be feeling for the rest of the morning. Whereas if you listen to something empowering, positive, inspirational, educational, that is where your attention is going, and that's how your day is going to start and therefore continue. It's so important. Like, I feel, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. And also,
Have I made my point?
I think you've made your point. I think, but it's also what your brain then is, what your kind of antennae are going to be searching for the rest of the day is that if you're listening to something positive, then you're going to be looking and recognizing the other positive things in the day, compared to the opposite. But I'd also say why I do think it is important to get quiet as well, to get to, as we said, maybe to take the headphones out or do a breath work and a meditation, do something different, because also it's really important to build that internal awareness as well, that relationship with your inner world. And unless we do that regularly, intentionally, it's impossible in our incredibly busy world. We can't possibly do it. So that is why I feel that is such an important thing to do in the morning, is to get quiet, to notice what's going on. And only when you notice and you build that interoception inside, Can you then start to notice the things that trigger you? You can then start to notice how you're actually feeling. You can start to notice if you're holding any real tension. You can begin
What
to
you're
release that.
thinking.
You notice what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But so it's a really important time just to calm everything down. And actually, that's what we were doing this morning in the inner space. It's just so important to let your body and mind settle, but really your body as well, because if your body goes first, your mind follows, because it's your body is constantly signaling up to your mind. And if your mind is, if your body's tense, your mind's going to be tense. But if you can relax the body, then the mind often will follow. So I do think it is an important part of kind of just being a little bit more joyful and relaxed and floaty and calm and just feeling good to do that as well. Anyway, I've just seen Lucy. It's 9:31. God, we could rant on about this all day.
I know. I literally could talk about this 24/7. I'm that obsessed. Anyway, we'll be back.
Yeah.
So I'm in Greece from Thursday for a week, but basically
Ooh,
I'm wondering
exciting.
I'm wondering whether I might just be able to do Monday motivation from there, or just be 10 o'clock my time, or is it
Okay.
even 2 hours? Anyway, well, I'll message you, love.
Okay. Yeah,
All right,
great. Oh, exciting. All right.
yeah.
Thanks
All
everybody
right.
for watching,
See you later.
listening. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye,
Bye
bye,
bye.
bye.